I was a working college sophomore in mid-1980s Brooklyn, preparing to transfer to a new school and a new life in the Hudson River Valley. The cool kids were driving Camaros and Trans Ams and Mustangs, but I took the classified section on the subway to see a used set of wheels that was the polar opposite of cool, a 1976 Datsun 710 station wagon. It was a standard shift 5-speed, green with a white vinyl interior, as plain and utilitarian as a washing machine, its fenders dotted with rust. Assured by my mechanic that it was reliable despite its high mileage, I paid $400 in cash for the title and soon learned that the engine burned oil at an above-average rate. So I kept a quart or two of 10W40 on board, topping up the reservoir after every second or third visit to the pump. I spent my last summer in the city fixing up that ugly duckling car, using a rivet gun to attach strips of sheet metal over those rusty fenders, then slathering pink Bondo body filler on top, like icing on a cake. Once it hardened and cured, I used a cheese grater and sanding pads and steel wool to smooth the finish. While I was at it, I spot-filled and sanded other minor damage, eventually using so much body filler that my sister nicknamed the car the Piñata. Later, after I went through a couple of cases of gray spray primer, the car was ready for its $99 Earl Scheib paint job. After its rebirth in a gleaming coat of blue with some overspray on the tires, I applied double white pinstripes, added upgraded floor mats and hubcaps, and installed a superior sound system. And away we went. That first semester passed in a blur of classes, club meetings, and shifts in the college dining hall. I'd planned to spend the holiday break at my sister's home on Long Island, and for weeks prior, I collected dirty laundry in enormous duffel bags to bring to my sisters, along with some wrapped gifts. It was a few days before Christmas, already quite cold and dark by the time I packed my car, closed the hatch, and headed for the interstate. I ran smoothly through the gears, attained cruising speed in the center lane, and cranked up the radio. I'd only traveled a few miles when it happened. After a prolonged and terrible whine, the car suddenly shuddered violently, and I heard and felt something metal give way. Instantly, every dummy light on the dashboard lit up, a bright grid of symbols and colors I'd never seen before. All was silent, except for the sound of the wind and the click, click of my hazard indicator as I maneuvered toward the shoulder. I understood exactly what had happened, a sickening realization that in the rush of those final papers and projects and exams and packing to move out of my dormitory room, I had neglected for weeks to top off or even check the oil. So in the internal combustion heat, when that last critical drop of lubricant burned away, the engine simply, finally seized, its individual moving parts fusing together to become a single, useless, worthless piece of sculpture. Rather than apply the brake, I instead held the wheel steady and allowed the tires to keep turning more slowly with each revolution, the rushing sound of wind replaced by the crunch of gravel and grit beneath me as the car drifted to a stop for its very last time. I dug a white T-shirt from one of the laundry bags and tied it to the radio antenna, a plea for help and signal of surrender. Then, I climbed into the back seat of my now dead, unheated car to huddle between the laundry bags and wait for a trooper and a tow truck.